I've collected all 54 appeal animations in the Aikatsu anime and I put them all together for you. Enjoy! 54. Quick Appeal. I've defined an appeal as an animation that plays in between choreography. It begins when the background changes to this more abstract void space. The quick appeal is the lowest on the list because although this throwing animation is cute, it's a very short sequence and the characters only have limited movement. 53. Dress Appeal. The dress appeal is a good example of basic character animation. There are no props or dynamic camera movements, but this is a good start for showing the character's personality. 52. Good Chord Special Appeal. The Good Chord Special Appeal uses almost the exact same animation as the dress appeal, but it adds props to the background plus some extra particle effects. Still no dynamic camera, but it's a boost. 51. Candy Rainbow. Candy Rainbow is an unfortunate victim of my ranking system. In order to avoid too much repetition, I've chosen only the most advanced version of each appeal. The normal version of Candy Rainbow is longer, but for consistency, I'm using its premium version. Although this animation has been cut down for time, it does have the start of an interesting background set and a dynamic camera. The floating umbrella pose is also very cute. 50. Swan Dance. The next two are trio story appeals, which I find underwhelming. Flight is a cool concept, but this animation lacks weight because there are no anticipation poses. The characters don't crouch before jumping, pull back before stopping, or overshoot their poses enough to feel impactful. For Swan Dance, I also don't think the Swan Lake theme has been used effectively. The pink swans look more like flamingos, and the blue ones completely blend into the background. They're supposed to match the accent colors in the dresses, but tinted black and white swans would have been a lot more recognizable. 49. Romance Heroine. The animation in Romance Heroine is still floaty, but the added detail of flying through the ring prop is nice. The background and props in this version are generally more appealing to me since the color palette has been more thoughtfully considered. 48. Sunlight Duet. There are a bunch of these standing appeals coming up, so I'll move quickly through them. Sunlight Duet is fine, it's a very slow sequence and the sun symbol in the background looks stylistically out of place, but there's nothing wrong with the animation itself. 47. Angely Swing Duet. Angely Swing Duet has a lot more going on in the background animation, which helps make up for how simple the character animation feels. 46. Bubbles Mermaid. Bubbles Mermaid adds a fun 3/4 angle to the start of its appeal sequence, so that's nice. I like the aquatic theme of the props and the bubble effects that radiate from the jewel in the center of the screen. Having the characters pose with seashell props is another thoughtful detail. 45. Classic Moon. Classic Moon makes me appreciate the reveal concept of this animation template. The light goes up and becomes a background prop, and I think that idea is clearer with the moon constantly in frame to give the light more spatial context. The fan props and detailed background are nice in the final frame too. 44. Arabian Fantasy. See how the drapes staying in frame also help you keep track of that light reveal element? It's smart, and I give bonus points to Arabian Fantasy for giving one character this instrument prop. 43. Cube Quartet. Cube Quartet has some good dynamic camera movements. Although I find the geometric shape concept to be a little boring, I like that the cube expansion launches the characters into the final frame. It'd be better if the cut was smoother so the characters could leave frame entirely and then reappear, but this is fine. 42. Triangle Power Query Light. The next few appeals are the triangle appeals, which I put higher since the sequences are slightly more complex. The animation is a bit rigid but okay overall. For power queries, I have two issues. First, the background cuts suddenly between the transition gradient set and the final pattern set. Second, I'm not a fan of the contrast between the green background and the brown sweets. 41. Triangle Light. Triangle Light sequence has a lot less in terms of props and background elements, but I'd rather have smooth cuts and a simple background than anything that feels messy. 40. Triangle Sunny Light. Triangle Sunny Light adds graphic panels to speed up the beginning of the sequence, which is very effective. It's the same rigid feeling spinning animation, but it's an improvement to the overall pacing. 39. Triangle Shiny Light. Triangle Shiny Light is only higher because it uses fancy triangle-shaped graphic panels rather than the rectangular vertical panels from Triangle Sunny Light. Sure, that looks good. 38. Trio Flight. Trio Flight has the most dynamic camera so far. I really like how it swings around the characters in a full 360. The starry background is a bit generic, and the animation still feels minimal up to the final frame, but it's very well timed and has a better sense of weight thanks to the timing rather than the poses themselves. 37. Sweets Time. Sweets Time is another light reveal appeal, and I like the use of props in the final frame. Having characters hold props is always a nice detail, and there's a ton of personality in both poses here. Filling the frame with foreground elements also gives a better sense of depth. 36. Spiral Flower. Spiral Flower starts us off on another big chunk of similar appeals. I like the spiraling flight animation. It feels dynamic even though the camera is just a zooming pan. The props and colors here are nice, very gentle, and cute. 35. Masquerade Flower. Masquerade Flower is very similar, but the speed has increased. That's really all it takes to feel more dynamic and interesting. 34. Skips Flower. Skips Flower varies its speed a little, so it feels less intense, but I do like the background props more on this one. The blue and pink they chose have a pleasing contrast. 33. Double M Flower. Double M spiral animation is cool. Not only is it faster, but the characters fly toward camera. Nice background logo reveal too. 32. Neverland Journey. Maybe no one else will appreciate this, but I put Neverland Journey up here because of all the effort they put into the wind animation in the final frame. You can barely even tell it's there, but it shows a lot of effort on the part of the animator to make the still flying poses look convincing. 31. Jalapeno Flower. Jalapeno Flower's spiral animation is even faster than Double M's, and although the characters don't fly toward camera, I like the directional variety in the final frame's animation. 30. Diva Flower. Diva Flower gets the highest spiral flight ranking because the characters are flying towards camera throughout the whole sequence, not just at the end. That gives it a lot more depth. 29. Melody Musical. Melody Musical is extremely cute, and especially creative based on what we've seen so far. I only dropped its rank because I think the chain of high fives is a little repetitive. The choice to make the center character hold onto the musical note when it flies up shows great attention to detail, even if it's not shared with the background characters. 28. Marine Style. As fun as the flying animations are, Marine Style is a good example of how to make grounded sequences feel just as fun. The different angles of spinning animation are cut together dynamically, and we all know how much I enjoy nautical motifs. 27. Luminous Flight. Luminous Flight gets points for showing the characters interacting with each other mid-sequence, and not just interacting physically, but reacting with full facial animation too. There are proper anticipation poses that give the animation believable weight, and I like how they choreographed the position switch for the bottom two characters in the final frame. 26. Breman March. The next few appeals use the same prop dodging animation template. Breman March is the lowest among them because although the extra depth from the retreating camera adds a great dynamic element, its visual design is the weakest. Did you notice the trail of musical notes behind the characters? I had to look closely for it. 25. Brilliant Jewel. Now, did you see the trail of props in Brilliant Jewel? Maybe it's because you were looking for them already, but they are more noticeable since the effect has been extended. The props are overall integrated better into the animation, and it fits in some more dramatic rotation on the characters to help sell the weight of the flying sequence. 24. Sleeping Rose. Sleeping Rose is the best out of this template grouping because it has the clearest prop tail particle effect, and it adds in extra directional change in the flight animation. You can call me biased toward the movie performance if you want, but on a technical level, this version of the appeal is the most dynamic. 23. Cute Flash. I'll cover the Flash appeals quickly since they're pretty straightforward, but it's that straightforwardness that makes me like them so much. Cute Flash is at the bottom because even though the concept is iconic and the execution is memorable, it has the least amount of character animation to work with. 22. Pop Flash. Pop Flash is great because the tumbling animation shows a lot of technical skill and gives an opportunity to show the character's personality. It's also nice to see so much interaction with background elements and changes in direction. It's fast and a little messy, but still impactful. 21. Cool Flash. I really like seeing the character travel through Z-space in Cool Flash. When they skate toward the camera at a 3/4 angle, you get a lot of spatial depth. I also find the background design to be really cool, and the ice skating concept makes this appeal feel unique. 20. Sexy Flash. Sexy Flash is the second longest appeal sequence in the anime, and I think it uses that time well. There's a lot of variety between the camera angles, and both particle effects from the spade symbol look gorgeous. The character animation has a lovely dreamy quality to it as well, while still maintaining a good level of believable weight. Very pretty. 19. Passion Beat. I wondered whether I should rank Passion Beat lower, but there is a lot of complexity in the way the shots change the background color, camera angle, and character pose between each guitar strum. Making those three elements change simultaneously while still looking seamless takes a lot of technical skill. 18. Trick Toy Box. Trick Toy Box is really cute in concept, and you can tell that the animators had fun with all the background props, but I think they got carried away and ran out of time to make the character animation feel more believable. I do appreciate the creativity, it just falls a little flat for me. 17. Butterfly Flip. Enormous, gorgeous butterfly wings aside, what interests me most about Butterfly Flip is the background set. Is it meant to be a rose bush with giant gem-studded stems and spiraling branches? If so, that adds a lot more context for the butterfly concept. I like it. 16. Double Moon Jewel. Double Moon Jewel is also interesting because it's hard to keep track of the light reveal concept. Both of the characters' hands emit a glowing light, which then turn into twin moons. You lose the lights and the camera flips 180 degrees to track the character, but overall this appeal still feels dramatic and dynamic. 15. Hanasa Noai. I almost wanted to rank Hanasa Noai lower because the camera stays so flat for the whole sequence, but the character animation really shines here. Because the camera is so simple, extra care is put into animation details and movement that increases the overall impact of the final frame. 14. Electro Groove. Electro Groove breaks the rule of 3 since we only see numbers 1 and 2 appear on screen as graphic elements, but the concept is cool enough to earn it a spot up here. These shots fit together fluidly and the animation stops just long enough to make the text readable. Very well considered, they just need the number 3 in the final frame, or at least have the character hold up 3 fingers. 13. Wicked Rouge. Wicked Rouge is best appreciated with sound effects because the cartoony gunshot sound when the heart prop explodes really adds to the playful tone of this appeal. Even without it though, the concept of lipstick turning into a pitchfork is very silly. There's a lot of cuteness here to appreciate. 12. Angel Arrow. Speaking of cuteness, Angel Arrow takes a more elegant approach to the exploding heart concept. It's a pretty flat sequence of shots, but the giant bow and arrow give the animation an epic feel. If you like magical girls or action scenes, I think this one would appeal to you. 11. Animal Style. Animal Style is like an expanded version of Marine Style. The different camera angles of the spinning animation are very similar, but I like the extra hand flourishes and the cute ending pose for the characters. I also really love animals, so the stylized animal prints and zebra in the background of the final frame are extra fun. 10. Munching Monster. Madoka Magica flashbacks aside, Munching Monster is one of the most creative appeals in the original series. I'm not sure if I enjoy seeing a character get eaten by a giant creature, but I like how cartoony and exaggerated the overall visual design of the sequence is. 9. Cosmo Showtime. Cosmo Showtime is a relatively flat sequence, but flying around a prop like the Earth gives the scene a lot of depth. The light trails curving around the sphere help sell that depth as well, and I like the subtle overshoot in the ending pose. If there's anywhere they could have justified floating animation, it's here, but they actually finish out the keyframes. 8. A Round Bouquet. Speaking of depth, it doesn't get much better than flying through a forest of flowers. The camera angle in A Round Bouquet is great since you get the sense of following the character while still being able to see their expression. And popping out above the blossoms with the spinning animation and petal particles makes a great ending frame. Love it. 7. Cheerful Kiss. I think the pop art style appeals are especially strong since they take advantage of the abstract setting of the Aikatsu system. For Cheerful Kiss, I love the combination of comic book motifs and graffiti text. They share a lot of design roots, so the graphic styles blend together really well. The animation is also pretty strong. It has good timing, and the facial animation looks especially nice. 6. Blossom Amore. I really like the dynamic angle changes in Blossom Amore and the quick cuts between shots. You get a nice sense of rhythm from them. I also like that the characters push back in the final frame to get more depth out of the foreground elements. The bedazzled flower props are beautiful too. 5. World Flight. World Flight is an amazing display of animation and screen design. They found so many clever ways to make the character interact with the airplane prop, and both the prop and character are given lovingly detailed animation. All the different airplanes zooming through the frame add a ton of dynamic energy, and I love that the camera angle stays fixed while panning to frame the character's reappearance. Amazing! 4. Clock Circus. I can't ignore how impressive the castle set piece is in Clock Circus. The zooming close-up is nice for shot variety as well as highlighting the clock animation, but it's the impact of the wide shot that makes this appeal work so well. You need the particle effect of bats flying toward camera to add depth, and they highlight the character in the center of the frame. A symmetrical composition like this works great to give a sense of control, and with the camera set at a low angle, the character is placed in a position of power in the frame. That's why it feels so cool. 3. Dreaming Heart. If the castle was impressive, Dreaming Heart's giant gate prop matches it at the very least. What pushes it into the top 3 is the technical difficulty of the flip animation on the character. To take her momentum from the initial spiraling flight animation, stop her, and flip her around, you have to spend a lot of time tweaking poses and timing. I think they pulled it off really well, and I like the impact of the ending frame too. 2. Sky Oasis. Sky Oasis is a more controlled sequence with careful use of close-up shots and particle effects for visual impact. The dancing animation can easily come off as boring, but if you use the camera dynamically and pay close attention to your focal points, you can pull off a really elegant sequence. The design of the floating island and lush plants adds some depth, but you don't need a ton of background detail when the close-ups take up most of the sequence. 1. Crystal Party. Crystal Party is the longest appeal sequence, and I'm glad since it has 8 characters to showcase. Seeing the characters fly toward camera before posing together would make a good enough final frame, but it keeps going. The added detail of having them spin around and burst out from the large prop is above and beyond the other appeals on this list. The animation is a little floaty, but this is practically 2 appeals for the price of 1. How could it not be first? Let me know your favorite appeals in the comments below, and look out for my Dreamy Crown Bodokatsu ranking next week. Bye bye!